Hello, friends. How are you all? I hope you're doing great and taking care of yourself. Today, we are going to talk about another important or a powerful tool in Oracle SQL, and that is none other than Subquery. What is Subquery in Oracle SQL? That's what we are going to talk in this video, and what are the different types of subqueries available for you to fetch the data as per the requirement. So without much further delay, let's get into details of that. So as you can see on the screen, what is the subquery? You would have got a visualization in your mind. So it is the outer query, and inside an outer query, it's a big main query. In that you have an outer query, and in that you have a subquery which is called as a inner query. So the main query can be called as an outer query, and the query inside it is called as an inner query. So in a very simple term, the subquery is a query within a query. What are different types of subqueries we have? So we have a correlated subquery, we have a single row, we have a multi-row, single column, and the nested subqueries. So these are the different types of subqueries available to you. Now let's first understand what is subquery from theoretical perspective, and then we will be getting into the our favorite hands-on session. So what is subquery? So subquery is a query nested inside another SQL. Think of it as a query within query, which we have seen in our visual diagram. So the syntax for the subquery is: select column 1, column 2 from a table where column name in, select column name from another table. You can just have that, or you can also have the condition. So if you see, you can pick this inner query and go ahead and execute on your SQL developer or a Toad or a SQL plus or a SQL command prompt, whatever you're using, it will execute. So this is an independent query, and this is an independent query as well. There is no relationship between these queries. What are the different types of subquery? So we have a single row query. As the name suggests, this query is designed to return just a one row of data, and what we can pair with is the comparison operators, which we have seen in our previous lectures. If you haven't watched my previous videos, do go ahead and watch that in the SQL for beginners playlist. So what a comparison, or what kind of comparison operators we can use to evaluate is equal to, greater than, less than, not equal to evaluate a single value against in another in the outer query. So remember, here you can use the condition. So say for an example, I want to get the list of employees where the salary is greater than 10,000. So that's where, so select employee ID from salary table where the salary is greater than 10,000, and then you can use employee ID, employee name from table employer where employee ID equals to. So that's how you can use the equal to, greater than, less than to get the result of the in use in a single row query. So what is the multi-row query? As the name suggests, it will return you the multiple rows. So here in the single row we are using equal to, so that means it will only evaluate the one condition. But here if you see, we are using in clause, so it will give you the multiple results. So that's why it is called as the multi-row query. So these subqueries return multiple rows, and what are typically it is used with which operators, like in, not in, any, some, all, whatever you want. Now, what is multi-column query? This will return you the multiple columns. So remember here we are selecting the specific column, column 1, column 2 in the single row, as well as the multi row. But in the multi column we are using star. So what, how many columns you have in a table A, it will return everything once the evaluation of the query is done. As the name suggests, they are used to compare multiple columns simultaneously. So here, instead of evaluating on the single column which you see in multi-row and the single row, which is here column 3, we are using multi-columns, which is column 1, column 2, and then it's returning us the multi-column as a part of the result. Now coming to an important subquery type, which is called as a correlated query. As the name suggests, relationship between an outer query as well as the inner query. And if you see it here, the difference is we are using the reference of outer table. That's why it is called as a relationship. So a correlated subquery is a query that depends on the outer query for its value. So if you see the syntax, what we have used is select column 1, column 2, form outer table O, where column 3 is greater than, and then we are selecting the average of column 4, form a inner table where I dot related column. So if I want to compare column 1 versus the column in the outer table, so that's why it is relationship. If I pick this and start executing it, it will throw me an error because it is referencing again the column from the outer table. So note, unlike regular subqueries, it runs for every row in the outer query. Now, let's look from the visualization perspective. So if you see on the left side, we have a correlated query, and on the right side, we have a non-correlated query. So we have a database, we have a subquery results, and it goes to the main and you see a final result. But here you have a main query which is passed to the subquery, the result, and then we are having the final result. So that's the difference between correlated and the non-correlated query. Don't worry, we are going to have our demo session where whatever I have talked, you will get the clear idea once you see the hands-on session. So without much further delay, let's get into our favorite video, which is hands-on session for the subqueries. So friends, I'm going to, as always, use the online compiler, which I'm going to share the link in the video description. So if you see on the left side, we have customers table, orders table, and the shipping table. And on the right side, we have the data in the customer table, order table, and the shipping table. If you see in all these three tables, we have the customer ID linked. So coming to our first subquery, which is single row query. So let's quickly look into that. So select customer ID, first name, last name. Okay. Enter form customers. Okay, where customer ID equals to, and I'm going to use here select customer ID form orders where amount is greater than 300. Okay, or let's put where amount is equals to 300. Okay, The moment I execute this, if you see, it has written me the one row. So which is, if you see here, the mouse is of 300 cost, and the customer who is using that is John. So that's why it gave me the single record, because I have put a condition here. So now if I take this, okay, and execute for an example here, okay, so you see here I have got the record, so I can go ahead and execute this independently, and that's why it is not related, right? And we will now look at the multi row or in a multi column. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically do here select order id, order id, item, amount, form, orders, where customer id in, okay, select select customer id from customers, okay, and I'm going to execute this, get me the multi-row of it. So the moment I execute it, you see it has given me all the records. So in is basically giving you the multi records. So if I also put here a condition where customer id equals to 4, let's see what is the output. So I get two orders because the customer 4 has selected two orders, which is keyboard and the mouse. I can also put here where the age is greater than 22, okay, and let's execute. So if you see here I have got three records. So one is for Robert, which is customer 2, okay, sorry, greater than 22, so which is 25, which is customer id 4, okay, and one is of 20 bt, which is 28, okay, and one is John, which is 31. So if I look in the orders table, so the customer 4 is having two items, which is keyboard and mouse, which it has written, and then we don't have we have another customer, which is John Dew. He has purchased a keyboard of 400, and which is customer id 1. So we don't have bitty, so it did not return me the record of the bitty from the order table, but it has written me the record for related to customer id 1 and customer id 4. So that's how you can use the in clause to basically get the multi-row query. Now let's talk about the multi-column. So friends, for the multi-column query, what I've done is I've created a self-join. If you haven't watched my previous videos on what are joins, what are different types of join, do go ahead and watch that before you get into this. So what I've done is I have used the customer tables, customer table has a self join to itself. So I'm using customer C1. I've given an alias as C1, and in the inner query I'm using the same table but with the alias C2. So now what I need here is give me the list of customers where it matches either the customer id equals to 2 or the age is 25. So when I execute this, I get this result, which is customer id 2 as well as customer id 4. Why? Because it is given customer id is form, which is 2, so it given me a result of Robert Luna 22, as well as it made the age which is 25. So it returned me John, John first name, and the age is 25 and the country is UK. So if I pick this query, okay, and execute, okay, independently, let's see what output I get. It should be the same output what I am getting. So see, it has written me 2 and 4 because I've put here or condition. And that's why either you give me the record which has match age customer ID equals to 2. Also, if you found the record which is having the age 25, give me that. If I put here greater than 25, okay, and execute this, so let's see what we get. So we get 31, 22, 28. So let me just execute here same by fine tuning equals to 25, where I've put a condition. Now give me the list of customers where the age is greater than 25. So now when I run this, it will give me John, Robert, and Betty because the Robert is having a customer equals to 2, and what is the age or condition I've put is age greater than 25. So that's why it gave me 31 and 28. So that's how you can use the multi-column query. Uh, Now we will be going to our most important frequently used in the production environment for data analysis or data passing or anything related to the data what you are using. We will be talking about correlated query. So stay tuned, we will get in 1 minute to that. So friends, let's quickly talk about the correlated subquery. So I'm going to use here customers and the order table to show you the demo of how can you use the correlated query. So I have already created a query and I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, and if you see here, right, what I've done is I've used the order table as an outer query or an outer table, and I'm using a customers as my inner query. So when I pick this and execute, okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so what I'm doing here is picking this, removing this one for now, and if I execute this, see, it throws me an error that there is no reference for the O dot customer ID column, and that's what is the correlated. It is referencing the value or a column name from the outer table. Now, if I pick or execute this, it will run. Sorry, let me remove this and let me run. And you see it has given me the records. So what are we doing here is we are comparing the customer ID versus the customer ID in the order table. So c dot customer ID is the inner table, okay, where I'm comparing the record of that with the O dot customer ID from the orders table, which is my order table. So if you see in the order table, it has matches the customer ID 4, 3, 2, 1. There is no match for the 5 customer ID, and that's why it did not return me that record. So that's how you can basically use the correlated query when you want to return the outer query of each every sorry when you want to read when you want your query to execute against each and every row. That's where you will use the correlated query, and this query is definitely used or help in the production analysis, or if you're doing any data analysis or the business um,